welcome back to the Rooted Connections podcast. It's your girl Uju.
And it's your girl Pa. Welcome everyone.
Welcome. If you're part of our tribe, welcome back. We love to have you here. If you're new, welcome. This is the Rooted Connections podcast where we have open, frank, honest conversations. No topic is off the table.
Nope.
We just pour our hearts out.
Yep.
We
we literally talk about anything. Anything pertaining to anything. We're always happy to have those conversations on the podcast. So if you're here for the first time, as Uju has said, welcome. Be open-minded because we have lots and lots of stuff that we like to explore on this podcast. So
Indeed. So today, what are we doing?
Let me let me clear my throat. Today we have August visitor. August visitor. This person does not come out for anybody. That she chose to be here today. In fact, I think I'll play the lottery. Because on a very serious note, she's a very, very dear and special person to us. She's a mentor, a big sister, someone who is, I don't actually know a lot of women in this generation who is as passionate as this person in giving a voice to people that struggle to find themselves.
Absolutely.
This is her life's work. If you know her, you know this is what she does. I remember one of the first times I met her, her first question to you as a woman is, who are you?
Oh, I remember that question.
Who are you? And what do you want to be? And if you're someone that struggles with answering those questions, trust me, she will make you find the answer. Anyway, without any further ado, we have here in the house our big sister, Councillor. She wears many hats, by the way. Councillor, Doctor, Mrs. Ashiedu Joel. Oh, thank you so much for coming. You're welcome.
I feel so loved up.
But you are loved.
You are.
We love you.
We love you.
Honestly.
I genuinely feel loved up. So thank you so much, Pam. Thank you, Uju. I fondly call Uju my in-law and Pam my sister, removed several times from worry. So they are two ladies who are very dear to me, and I challenge and I push you people. And I'm going back now, maybe 10 years ago. I remember when you both first talked to me about a business, and I felt like, when you have an unwanted guest in your house, when I used to say, so what's the plan? What are you doing? And when are you this?
You used to make us come to your house for weekly. Is it weekly or monthly meetings?
It was monthly.
And we used to run away.
Yes. But for me, I think just being able to give of myself is important to me as a person. And seeing how both of you have thrived, and I use the word thrive deliberately over the years, is just such a blessing. When I ask the question, who are you? It is because I had to answer that question myself.
Yeah.
I needed to find myself at a time and a place and in a space where there wasn't a me to help me find me. So there were lots of people around, but no real role models. And so I was looking to my mum, who was several thousand miles away, operating in a very different time, space, culture, society, excelling in what she did, and looking as a young 20-something-year-old woman to find my footing. So it was critical that I needed to answer that question. And so when I meet people, I always ask the question, who are you? and what are you looking to become?
Yeah.
My life is about what is my legacy. So when I'm not here, what will my legacy be?
Yeah.
It is about impacting lives. So thank you both so much for having me, for making me feel extra special coming on.
You are. And I mean that. You don't come out for many people.
No,
You don't.
I
So
don't.
we are really, really
Completely
honored
honored,
and
honestly.
so happy that you made the time and the effort. And there's a backstory to actually you being here today, which makes it extra special. We're not going to go into that, but I know where you've just come from.
Yeah.
So to have made the time today to be here, we're honestly really honored, and thank you so, so much. So I know you've given a little bit of yourself, but I think something that will be important is tell us a little bit about you. Who are you? Who's Councillor Mrs. Dr. Ashiedu? What do you do? This legacy you talk about. Who are you?
So I wear multiple hats, and I wear multiple hats locally, regionally, and nationally. And sometimes, when I challenge people to talk about themselves, but I find that talking about me is also something that I'm not yet comfortable with. So I am an engineer by training, which is very bizarre. So I am the only engineer in my family who veered out of engineering. So my dad still believes I don't have a proper job. So he always still tells me, Ashiedu, you need to do something with this. You can't have all these degrees and not do anything with it. You must do something.
African
You must do
parent.
something. I say, yes, Daddy. Say, if I come back home, he said, when you come back, that boat has sailed, Daddy. That boat sailed 30 years ago.
Still, he's saying come back home.
Yes.
Wow.
Because my dad believes that I have lived here so long. And so my life experience here will put me in good stead to help shape and drive some of the conversations in Nigeria, which I am keen to do. But I don't think sometimes, you just feel, as we say in Waripam, you need to have your full chest to go into that space. And I think I'm a bit too structured and very determined and clear on where I want to be going to for some of the side distractions
that come with that space as well.
So
True.
I'm working on myself in the hope that that will be something that if I said to Dad I'm coming, he'll be very excited. But then outside of my engineering qualifications and engineering degree, I have found myself, I think, more by grace and divine connection really in the spaces that I operate in. So I sit on several boards. I am an advisory partner to two universities. One of them is a Russell Group University. I run my own business. I take on, I have been appointed by the Ministry of Justice twice to strategic positions. I went into politics really not by choice. And, that story is, a story that needs unpacking, another, because honestly, when I think about it, it still feels surreal. I also chair a few regional partnerships. I chair the Africa Business Chamber, the East Midlands Network.
Okay.
I am a mother. I function as a wife. I'm married to somebody who is very traditional, and I'm trying to get him to understand.
Our darling brother.
Yeah.
I can't say anything because he's my in-law, so I can't comment on that. For the interest of posterity, I didn't say anything. So they will not return my bride price.
Exactly. We need to watch that. I am also a community activist and a community advocate, and I use it when I say activist. I don't use the word activist in the way people understand that term, activist. So I am not an agitator. I believe in dialogue, so I am a negotiator because my skill is as a communicator. So everything I do revolves around communication.
Right.
I also work independently as a domestic abuse advocate and advisor.
Yeah.
So I'm in the interfaith space. So I'm an interfaith practitioner, and what that means is I work with people across different faiths, and I deliver sessions around, how faith communities can live together amicably and be respectful and mindful of the differences in our faith beliefs. If you take Christianity, there's so many denominations, and we often fall out of kilter with each other because somebody
Even
doesn't
within
believe
the Christian space, yeah.
So imagine what it feels like when you're talking to people from other faiths who have very strong set doctrines that they believe are immovable. But we need to be able to operate and coexist within that space.
True.
So I do that. I also work with young people. So one of my passions is around talent acquisition. So how do you ensure that we're all parents, we're mothers, we have children? Where do we see our children stepping out and stepping forward? So when I came here 30 years ago, there was no minimum wage. So we were fighting very different things to what the average person now is contending with. But our children still have some inalienable battles, there's still things that haven't shifted.
From 30 years ago.
And we need those things to shift.
Yeah.
So it is about, how do I use all of these different hats that I wear, and I'm sure I've forgotten some, and somebody will pinch me later and say, you didn't talk about. So every other space, I apologize if I haven't mentioned the work I do. But how do I bring all of me in this multifaceted and multidimensional enabling ability of mine? How do I pull it all together to ensure that when I talk about legacy, what legacy am I talking about? So who is Ashiedu when you take her from space to space, from sector to sector?
Yeah, that singular thing.
There has to be one thing that rings through. So the language changes. So if I talk about all of the different spaces, when we talk about leadership politically, the language is different. I talk about leadership within the health space or the board space, it's different. I talk about leadership in the community space, the language is different. Leadership in the interfaith space or faith space, the language is different.
Yeah.
Leadership as a family, as a wife, the language is different, because when you're talking about leadership as a mom, and when you're talking about leadership as a wife, and you're talking about leadership as an in-law, the
Very
language is
different,
different. But there needs to be consistency, so that regardless of which Ashiedu is showing up in which space, everybody recognizes one thing, and that is what keeps me able to glide right through and right across. And that is what I think that we need to be able to demonstrate as individuals, to ensure that when we start to structure or decide, or even by divine direction, think about what should my legacy be, it becomes clear that everybody can understand that if you mention my name, if you talk about Ashiedu, wherever you talk about Ashiedu, the messaging is consistent.
Yes. And I can say that actually, from my experience of you, that is very true. I think one of the things I find most inspiring about you is your authenticity in every space. even when the worry side of you comes out, or or when your phone comes out, one thing that is consistent is anyone who's met you, you're someone that you leave a little bit of yourself with everybody you come in contact with, and you're no nonsense. I think you're someone who, when you speak from a place of truth, and that's it. And I think it's quite interesting because, yes, I do see you as an advocate. I see you as an activist. But now that you actually define it in that way, in terms of a communicator who negotiates, it's true, because when you think about activism, you're thinking about people who are fighters, someone, yeah. But actually, in reality, you can't function in all of these spaces if you actually don't have some of those skills that you've mentioned. So that's actually quite interesting.
Absolutely. To speak to the authenticity, I remember when you asked that question of who are you, you always give the backstory. Because I remember you saying this story that somebody asked you that question and you couldn't answer it. And that was the trigger for you. And that's kind of the thing that drives when you're trying to push us and you say something, because you pour so much of yourself. I know where it's coming from. It's not that this woman just wants to harass me. I know that it's from, this happened to me. I don't want it to happen to you. So we need to all do better. And it's something that I've learned from you, and I carry it forward as well to other people. I'm like, don't see, I got it wrong here. I'm telling you this, so that, and that's the whole point of mistakes, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm in the magistracy, the criminal justice space, and I work across benches. And when I joined, there was a block on recruitment for 2 years. So for 2 years, I was bringing and emailing. And when I eventually, so I set myself a reminder, and I think this is just God. And on the day the reminder went off, I just thought, to ring. I won't mention the lady's name. So I rang and I said, hi, is this so-and-so? She said, yeah. So I said, my name is Ashiedu Joel. She said, yes, the lady who's been emailing and ringing all these years. I said, yes. I said, but she said, do you know what? It's been on my mind to ring you, but somehow I forgot. The closing date is today. Can you get your application in today?
Wow.
And I checked the time and I said, goodness. I said, what time do you close? She said 5. And it was like, I had maybe like an hour. So I said, can you email me the form? She said, just go. I said, no, send me the form. I don't want to mess about, So she says, I'll send it. But if we don't get it at 5, I'll have to see whether so-and-so, the other person who was at the time, he's now a district judge, if he will be willing to give you a waiver. I thought, no, I've waited 2 years. I can't be dragging. So I filled it in, sent it off, and you had to sort of show, that you had attended court sessions. And I had, because one of my roles at the time was I was the domestic violence team manager for the city, and I was a strategic lead for city and county for the domestic violence multi-agency partnership. So because I'd been attending court with some of our service users, I put that down. Then the next morning I got an email. So when I went in for my interview, you see people come saying, there's no Black person here. But one of the requirements was you need to demonstrate that you understand the society, the community that you're going to be administering justice over. And I remember there's 2 JPs now who are still, who were on my panel, who are still on the bench. The others are retired. Going in for the interview, and one of them later on said to me, your interview was just mind-blowing. Says we couldn't stop talking about you. But for me, it was important that I didn't go there just presuming that
you got it. Yeah.
What standard am I setting? And then when we went for the induction, there was no Black person. So I said to the bench chair and the chair of the representative from the Magistrates Association, and why haven't we got? He said, "Oh, since we're doing better, we have you."
Oh, wow.
So I cancelled my membership of the Magistrates Association because I thought, no, this is not good enough. And there's a few people I started tormenting. You have to join the magistrates. You have to join the magistrates. You have to join. So now when they say, "Oh, Ashiedu, we're doing really well." So I said one day to the bench chair, I said, "You're doing really well because somebody went out there to advocate that other Black people ought to join here." But why am I telling this story? I've been in places where I felt there was a Black face. And so this person will be able to open the door. But what they did was, as soon as I expressed an interest, all communication ceased. So the door shut. We are very good at, I'm the only, the savior, the deliverer, the this. I am often the only, and for many years. So in some spaces, you find people coming in now, and when they tell me I've got, and I laugh because I always say to myself, "Thank you, Lord, because one thing you've never allowed me to do is hoard."
Yeah.
Because I need, so if something happens to me now as a presiding justice, there are at least 6, 7 Black women now who I can go to. They don't know how they don't know that I was instrumental to the appointment, but I can go to them now to say, "This has happened to me. Can you join me to speak out against this?"
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when I joined, there was nobody.
There's no one
So
else.
I'm relying on people who don't know my lived experience, who have no connection with it. So it is, if you haven't lived something, if it doesn't resonate with you, the most you can do is sympathize. You can never empathize. It takes a certain kind of person to empathize with something that is
never
not a
experienced.
reality to them.
True.
Yeah, that's very true.
So some of the work I do is within the cultural intelligence space. And why do I talk about cultural intelligence? We always think that we're educated. You know, I have more qualifications than I need. So when I joined the council, for years I couldn't get a job. So one day I took my application to this woman. If I won't even know her, she just called me to the side. She said, "Go home, remove all this." She just put one college. Do you have MVQ? I didn't even know what MVQ was. I said, "I don't know what is that." She said, "You don't have it." I said, "No." She said, "Okay, which is the least qualification here?" So I'm looking. She said, "Just put one. Just put one." I had City and Guilds computer science. So I put my City and Guilds computer science and I put my BSc engineering. I took everything else out. The degrees, the other qualifications. And that's how I got an interview. But for nearly 6 months, I couldn't get an interview.
Wow. I think that's a topic we need to explore on a different day, because that's just mind-boggling. The fact that sometimes you have to limit yourself to get ahead.
You don't see, I've only recently started addressing myself as Dr. Ashiedu Joel. Because most people would say, "Really?" So it is, how do I ensure that I am not I haven't created this space where I and I alone exist.
Yeah.
I have, children who are super ambitious because I've raised them to be ambitious. I've raised them to not be ashamed of ambition, because that's another thing. I was fortunate to be raised by parents who wanted me to be ambitious. And so instilled that. And my dad would frown at anything that looked like as if I was minimizing myself. But I had friends who were too ashamed to admit that they were ambitious. Because as a woman, you will not find,
I'm going to pause there because you are literally stepping right into our topic for today. Okay. So, Well, I think you've literally just
Yeah, so just introduce the topic
Yeah.
and then we'll get straight into
we'll
it.
just go straight into it. So actually, our topic today is exploring is it possible? Is it actually a myth that as a Black, and I specify Black African woman, because I think generally as a woman, we do face a lot of challenges, but I think for me, I personally, and maybe from my lived experience as well, I feel that there are other challenges that we as Black African women, additional challenges that we face in society, which can be very limiting and brings about that imposter syndrome where you doubt yourself. And you touched on that, where you limit yourself because you're trying to accommodate what society, believes that you should be. So we, as you've talked about all of your achievements, so we wanted to, and we couldn't think of anybody better to explore this conversation with. So is it a myth though that as a Black African woman, or just generally as a woman, let's start there, that you can actually have it all?
No, it isn't a myth, but I think why people have built this fantasy notion about us as Black African or Black British women having it all is because we deep very much into our cultural norms. So the societies or the communities or the families that we've come from prior to moving over to the UK, and the fact that when we came, we went to seek similar, we went to seek the familiar. So growing up, one of the things, my dad always used to say to me is, when you go anywhere, never seek the familiar.
Interesting.
And I didn't understand it because I thought, so he used to say, when I turned 13, the very first thing my dad said to me is, you will never have a second chance to make a good first impression. He said, so if you misbehave today, every person here, when you get to 40, when you get to 50, when they remember you, they remember today. That was, it was huge to me.
At 13. Wow.
Because I thought, how can what I say, what I do be something that somebody, but as I got older, it started to make sense. Because people, even those who have gone on to other, better positions, when I see them, I track back to when we first met. And some of those first meetings have been less than pleasant. So it has made me weary of them in that space, because I think, how have they gone on then to forge first meetings with people? And so how we perceive people and how people start to truly talk about others, I always ask the question, how did you meet? And the story comes out, and you can make the line and the connection that if it was a pleasant first meeting, they are always gracious about conversations about that person.
True.
If it was not a pleasant first meeting, but they have gone on to try to build something out of, they are less than, in fact, they are uncouth about how they describe, because your emotions immediately feed into what is the foundation. Your best friend, both of you are very close.
Yeah.
So even when you fall out, what is the reason you settle?
Our history, where we're coming from.
So imagine if it was an unpleasant one, or you were doing it to keep the peace. It would never be real.
Absolutely.
So when we talk about this business of having it all, what does it mean to have it all? 30 years ago, having it all for me was being accepted, was the fact that I was recognized as an intelligent Black woman, engineer, and I wanted a job. I just wanted the opportunity to show what I could do. That was having it all for me. Then you move on to, I got past that to, I got into work, I got into academia, then I met my husband. Then having it all took a different meaning.
Right.
Having it all meant that I was able to settle into marriage. I was able to have, a cordial and a civil relationship with my in-laws. I was able to feel loved and nurtured by the person I was married to. My children, my job, I could see myself moving up, and I could see my husband encouraging me. But as I've grown, and my portfolio has grown, and my life has extended to national and international work, having it all has a different meaning to me now. But what we often do is we pigeonhole ourselves into someone else's definition of having it all.
Right.
So the average young woman in her 20s, having it all is you graduated, you have an okay job, if you're still living at home, your parents kind of give you the independence to go and come. You have good friends, you can go out, you can travel. I mean, you've got it all. But you start to hit 30, having it all then means that people start to, especially when you're from an ethnic background, people start to drop into conversations. When are you going to? When are you not going to? And who is it? And any young man that turns up at the door, oh, everybody, or every auntie, your mom is secretly taking screenshots to send to this auntie. Do you know him from anywhere? Check his background. And then they'll ask him to, so what's your name? Okay, where are you from? And if he's white British, oh, okay. So what part of England are you from? Oh, is it near the coast? Oh, is it, we do all these things because as we age, having it all also evolves.
Right.
So as parents, having it all changes. It doesn't remain static.
True.
Right.
So for me, having it all at this phase of my life in my 50s means that I can begin to see, shoots of my investment in people. So I have some of my mentees who are doing fabulous things, who have gone on to great things. So, and that for me, I'm thinking, absolutely, I can now see my story bearing fruit in somebody's life. And I always say to them, pay it forward.
Yes.
Pay it forward. My children are at the stage now where they're becoming less dependent on me, and they're formulating their own life's journey very clearly, very articulately. So having it all in that regards then is, how am I now able to move from the mom who is all protective to the mom who is now a counselor, an advocate? I am able to actually steer them, So it's now about dialoguing.
Right.
When they're young, it is command and control.
Instructions, yes.
Sit there, do this. We're out of the command and control phase of parenting. It is now into the phase of negotiation.
Yep.
So please, when you go out,
And you try and be back by this time.
Mom, I won't be back until 2. Can you just tell them that I need to sleep? I have to be somewhere at 7 in the morning, which means I have to leave. So I'll be there at 1 o'clock. Say your goodbyes from 12. And on the drive home, oh, everybody's still there. Oh, and you said that as a Holy Spirit, please just help me speed up this car so that
We can get home quick.
You're talking about careers, you're talking about friendship groups,
Yeah.
and you're learning now to be an active listener as a parent. I now need to key into my children's feelings. So what does that facial expression mean?
Mm-hmm.
What does that sigh mean? What does that laughter mean? Because each expression means something. We didn't grow up in the era where anybody was looking at your face to ask you or just.
You wouldn't even dare have a facial expression.
No,
You're not allowed
You're
to
in
have
trouble for having the facial expression.
You had to behave. I mean, you were facing somebody came, my dad want to know who is his father, who is his mother, what do they do, my mom asked, what family are they from, who is their relative. Why in God's name would I know that? But we had to be very conscious of those type of questioning. If I ask my children, I mean, I remember they asked my older one, so what does the mother do? The way she looked at me, she said,
Oh my.
that is such an elitist question, Mom.
Oh yeah, my daughter says I'm judgmental.
And I just thought,
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
no,
I
it's
got
not.
that recently.
She
Yeah.
said, I mean, you only asked. And her father in the back said, yeah, I told you, your mom is very, very elitist. She does she just, no, I'm not. I'm just very particular.
Mm.
About who my children are around.
Exactly. Too many crazes. As we say in Nigeria, many are mad.
You are roomy.
Few are known. And I don't want to pray any prayer that is not my own to pray because I chose to be nice. No. I don't want to. So you can't have it all, but you have to be realistic about the phase you're in.
Right. Okay.
We always presume that because Uju is driving a Bugatti at 40, I must now have a Bugatti because. But do I understand the phase she's at?
How she got that?
How she got the Bugatti? What are the sacrifices you made? Can I make those same sacrifices?
Absolutely.
And in making those same sacrifices, will I have the same freedom of conscience that she supposedly has to have made that decision? We don't think about all of those. We don't even think about the price we pay for wanting to have it all.
Right.
So to get to where I am, I've had to be intentional about my friendship groups. Very intentional. I've had to keep it tight and meaningful. I have no time for foolishness. I don't want to hear what the latest gossip is, who bought this, I don't care about those things. I have a destination, I have a plan. And all these things are distractions to me. Did you see so and so bought the whatever? I remember I went somewhere with a group of ladies and somebody just jokingly said, you're a big girl, or why don't you just stroll in and just pay? And I looked at it and I said, how can I spend £4,000? When I look at the bag, I'm thinking, in all my life, even going out purse, I need an oversized one because for some reason I don't understand what it is about me. I can't carry this chewing gum one. They say they put lipstick on my phone. My phone has never managed to fit in. So this Banjoro, chai. This thing 4,000 to go with. Big. When I calculated what I would do with the 4,000, I said to myself, on another journey, you will be absent. Priorities. So what is my priority? When I said question, who are you? So I ask myself now, Ashiedu, what is your priority? Where do you want to arrive at? I don't have the luxury of making any errors now. Just because my life is now in the public space.
Exactly. Yeah.
Under a lot of scrutiny. So anybody I bring in, I have to be 110% sure that they will not cause me shame. So the analogy I give is when I say to people, and I say to my children, I say, if somebody says, can I have a reference? It's like I go to one of your husbands to say, please write me a reference. And they say, oh, yes, of course. What they're saying is, I am staking my reputation
Right.
For you.
for Ashiomanidu. So when Ashiomanidu turns up, I, Mr. So-and-so, I am vouching with my integrity for her.
Yeah.
So when I turn up there and I decide that, because it is my wonderful in-law that got me, so the day I like, I go at 8. The day I don't like, I go at 10. The day I don't like, I don't show up. Then I message them, I'm sorry. When I tried to step out of bed, my foot got stuck by the bedpost. So I'm stranded in bed and all kinds of things, waiting for ambulance to come and airlift me at my bed.
I take it these are some of the excuses that
Oh my God.
that you have had to
Oh
deal
my
with.
God. Oh my God. I've had people give my name to a police, and when people ring me and tell me all the wonderful things that they've given, and I'm thinking, this is
new.
and I've said a number of times, I am sorry, I cannot.
Vouch for this one.
But is this perhaps the reason why, as you alluded earlier, Black people lock up when you see they are thriving in a space and another Black person comes in, because they've had this experience of people being unreliable? They don't want to get too familiar, so they don't get into that difficult position.
So I'd always describe myself as a woman that God has helped immensely. And by that singular grace, there is no institution in this country that I don't know somebody very well. Not because we took a photo. I mean, God needs to deliver me from not taking photos, because that's another thing with my children. But I've been engraced and blessed that way. But one thing I've never done is take advantage of those relationships, because there is so much respect and regard for me. So I know that on a few occasions where I have introduced people, I have had bad feedback. And that was when I started to reframe this business of operating with integrity. What does it mean to be a woman or a man with integrity? It's not just about how you do business. It is about who you bring in.
Relationships.
So I have some groups that I belong to, very well established women and men, well established, very, 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 but I start back to watch how they do business and how they bring people in, and hear from those who vouched for me to be welcomed in, and found out that everybody had to agree for anybody to be let in. So we're in this room and I want to bring somebody in because I have a good relationship with you and with you, but not with the rest of the group. I can't bring anybody in because everybody needs to vet
your candidates.
But we don't do that as a people. So we have this open door policy. And then when people choose to vet who they let in, we use this terminology, they lock up, they shut the door down and all of those sorts of things. There's people who do it intentionally because they genuinely want to be the only person in that space.
So it's about the intention behind it.
Yes. So for me, it's always about the intention. Why is this person seemingly, not being
Closed off,
welcomed in? So we need to understand what it is we're about. Because this concept of having it all, it is also about knowing who you are.
Okay. So I think what I take from that then is having it all is not a fixed space.
No.
It's not fixed. It's a matter of knowing where you are at the time.
It is an
Very
evolution.
fluid.
You
It
evolve. As you
evolves.
evolve in life, your
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah.
So you get to an age now where part of your all is not to go and get pregnant and be having children. That is not an all anymore.
That's a phase that has
That is a
passed, yeah.
phase. There was a time when part of your all was, I want to get pregnant. I want to have a
Right.
child. I
Children.
want to have children. But you've gone, so that has fallen off your all. Your all now is, what sort of parent am I?
True.
Where my children are concerned, what is the legacy? What is the relationship I have? And if I'm not here, what will my children remember about me the most that will make sure that they keep going?
Okay. So on the point then of children, because for as long as I've known you, that is something that I've really admired about you, how intentional you've been with your children. And when I meet your children, and that's what I talk about. So you leave a little bit of yourself with people that you meet. So I can imagine living with you what that is. And and I mean that because when I've met your children, I mean your boy, he's a quiet
Very
professor.
soft-spoken.
I call him quiet professor because when he speaks, you wonder that how old are you? Like, but your daughters, both of them, very different characters, but very strong, very
In their own
fixed
way.
in their minds about who they are. So I suppose the question I'm trying to ask you, and again going back to that whole idea of having it all, because I would say they know who they are as individuals, as women. When you speak to them, that comes true. You don't need to second guess that these, some children, you say, what do you want to be? I don't know. I've not quite figured that out yet. But I think from a very young age, that's something that both of them have been very clear on. So speaking to that then, how challenging has it been raising children like that in this era?
And just to add to that is, particularly with the girls, there is already a notion that there's a limit to where you are. There's a peculiarity with black people
Girls.
Yes.
and black girls,
Yes.
our mindset, and sometimes it's driven from the parents as well. So I suppose the question is, how has that been raising them to not see limits as well?
I've had to role model that, and sometimes not easily. So when my eldest was getting ready to go to secondary school, one of the things she said to me is, "Oh, mommy, when I go there, they're all going to be all white, all rich." And so I told her, I said, "And who do you think you are?" And she kept quiet. So, "I don't understand, mommy." I said, "Who do you think you are? Do you think you don't belong because you are black? Because we don't live in a village?" Because she had this notion, and in primary school, a teacher had told her that because she was black, she wasn't English, and that trauma followed her for years. So
From a teacher?
Yeah. Let's just say there's a few people that won't forget me.
They picked the wrong person to mess with.
Let's just say that.
Well, I suppose I can see how they will make that kind of statement, because there's a lot of ignorance among a lot of people. Because
So there was only two of them, two black children in her class in primary school, in the year actually. And that day when I picked her up, she said, "Oh, the teacher put them in the middle," and was asking her, "Oh, what happens at home? How do they look after you at home? What happens at home?" And so when I picked her up, she said, "Mommy, guess what happened today?" She said, oh, they put us in the middle of the class and they were asking us questions. I said, you and who? She called it that girl's name. So I said, show her to me when I turned. It was a Ghanaian. Okay. So I said, who else? She said, oh, me was only just very excited because it never happened to her. So she was so excited and they just pick her and put them in. So next day when I went there, so I called the teacher. I said, I was told that there was supposed to be an activity, class activity. And my child found herself in the middle of this big circle being interrogated without my permission or any notice. I said, what were you trying to find out? I said, no. I need to know. So I said to her, I said, you seem to presume that any black face that walks in is either uneducated, semi-literate, or I've just jumped off a boat. I said, I didn't come off a boat. So let's take this conversation back. What was the purpose of that group exercise? Because, so I said, it must never happen again. It must never happen again. You have no right to put my child under that type of scrutiny. What are you fishing for?
What was their rationale for that?
There was this big thing, and there still is, that, when children come from black households, you need to make sure that, they are cared for, there are no safeguards, all kinds of things. So some teachers will kind of take it up a notch because they believe that,
like a blanket rule.
Yes. And the fact that there's only 2 of them, so we need to make sure. No, don't ever make sure nothing.
Not my child.
Don't ever if there's anything you need to come and ask, don't ever make sure nothing. So I said to her, if that ever happens again, you need to say to the class, my mom says I cannot participate. And you need to ring my mom. And if my mom comes here, I said, and if I don't speak to you over the phone or turn up at the gate, the answer is a no. So raising children has presented itself with challenges, from choosing the school they go to, from navigating stereotypes, with teachers, to moving on from primary to secondary, to getting them to that place where they come into the fullness of their own. They are really confident. They see themselves. So when she started, again, the whole year had never had a black classmate. So it was a novelty. So for the whole of year 7 and year 8, every parent wanted her to come and visit. And whenever she turned up there were other people we didn't know from the village who were just a little bit too excited and too keen. Oh, hi. And so first week they shortened her name. So I said, that's not it. She said, oh, Mom, they said, it's so cool. Then teacher rang me one day, said, hi, Mrs. Joel. I'm just ringing about. I said, I beg your pardon. I said, I beg your pardon. She said, oh, I do apologize. I said, that's not her name. She said, oh, but I said, but is that the name you've got on the roll? I said, can you change it, please? That's not the name she was registered with. So it's about setting boundaries.
Okay.
So for the longest of time, and even now, my children believe that I am an intense mom because I can really get into it. No problem, I don't, Ejima once said to me, oh God, Mommy, my friends, you said, I asked people to say, describe your mom. I said, oh, my mom is a dragon mama. I said, that's absolutely fine. So she said, you're not offended. I said, no. I said, do you know how dragons care for their young? I said, have you seen how the dragon forces over its egg and over the hatchlings? Have you seen it? So she went like this. I said, watch. I said, go and research how they. So she came and she said, yeah. I said, I didn't understand, but I think so. I said, so to me, because again, I think sometimes when our children describe us a certain way. We take offense because our Nigerian cultural heritage demands this kind of nonsensical approach and godlike, deference from our children. So you sideline them. The sort of things they contend with, you can apply that same approach.
Yeah.
I remember the first day, I was talking to my middle one, and I was so incensed. And she says, what is she shouting about? What is she shouting about? And I'm standing right there. She says, I don't understand. She's just shouting and shouting. What is she shouting about?
I still see her saying it, actually.
By this time, I'm hyperventilating. My body, smoke, not just steam, is coming out of my ears. And I'm screaming at the top of my voice. And she's just saying, I don't understand. What is it that she said, I don't see this. Is this how Nigeria? She said, this is why we never go to Nigeria. This is how they behave in Nigeria. Do you know, I got to, when I said entered my car, I don't even know where I was driving to. I just knew that.
You needed to be out of that space.
Social services cannot come and visit me.
Oh, no. Oh, God.
But coming back to how did I get them to that place where they know themselves, they're self-assured, they're confident. They're blips, because sometimes they hear things and, they come back and they say, oh, me, so-and-so. But it's not my place then to reprimand them. It's my place to reassure. Then once they're calm enough, we sit down, we have a conversation, and I tell them, I say, this and this should never have happened.
Indeed.
And this is how you deal with it.
Yeah.
You have to model the parent you are. So if you are a parent that loves parties, I'm not. What then happens is your child starts to believe that I must be in a social space, social gathering to find my true worth. But that is not me. Because like I say to them all the time, it's like I said to my eldest when she was growing up, I said, when you get into that place, because when they started and they used to do 3 days, they used to start 3 days before the entire school. So they had 3 days of all kinds of activities. So when I dropped her off, she I was a little bit apprehensive, thinking, oh my God, how will she cope? So when I picked her, she said, when I walked in there, I was the only one. I didn't see anybody that looked like me. I said, good. She went, she said, I said, good. I said, and how did you manage? She said, oh, I just went up to a few people and said hello and introduced myself and asked them, what school have you come from? She said, by the end of the day, she knew the names of half the girls in the year. By the end of that week, she knew every single child. There were 80 of them. She knew all the 80 names.
Wow.
That's impressive.
So the fact that I didn't project fear, that, when you get there, you need to be careful. No. Because my father had always said to me, when you go anywhere, don't seek the familiar. My dad would say, when you walk into a room, stand and watch. He said the power corner will become clear. He said the power corner is where people are queuing and wanting to say. He said, don't queue. Go around, stretch your hand, introduce yourself. You never, my dad said, don't go and be looking for. And that is what we do when we come here. We seek the familiar. You find somebody that likes the same thing you like. But what is that connection doing for me? How is it enabling me to move up? No.
Yeah.
It limits me.
Yeah.
Because as I think, you think. I don't challenge you. You don't. We're just safe.
Yeah.
In our ignorance.
Yeah.
So even when I travel with them, I encourage them to explore. So from the age of 15, my older one has been traveling on her own.
Wow, 15.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
I just make sure
that feels too close to home.
All right.
I make sure her phone is roamed. I can reach her anytime, any hour of the day. And, she's come into a certain kind of confidence.
I can see that, actually.
She is very confident.
So, you have to, I mean, not every parent would do that. For me, it was important, and it is important that my children find their space. They know that wherever they are, they belong there. You're not there at somebody's behest.
Absolutely.
I might be a token higher, but you would, I swear to God, as the same word, you will struggle to get rid of me.
Oh, absolutely. And I know you say, I always say this thing about being the diversity hire, or where we think, or we always complain, oh, they are, how would I put it? That
Chauvinistic.
they just want to tick a box that I have a black woman here. But for me, I'm like, that's fine. I lean into it in terms of to get the job right. But when I get there, I have to perform where that is like, oh, actually, and prove to you that this is. So let's lean into it. They want token hires, right? No problem. We'll get there and show that actually, and we change the narrative in that space.
You must, but this is where I come at it with a caution. You must also scrutinize the intent behind that diversity hire.
Of course.
Because I've been approached as a consultant, come in. Now, they want me to come in to find a problem because they have a solution they cannot implement. So I am just to come in to find a problem that matches that answer, so that it becomes our consultant who
has said. And she looks like...
Yeah.
One, I get that.
Interrogate the intent. So absolutely lean into those offers of they want a diversity hire, definitely. But when you get there, don't do what we do and settle it and start to swagger. You go from place to carry your jollof rice every day, take your fried rice, moi, all kinds of things, because you want to show that, come and try. No. That's no.
I feel attacked.
I'll be taking jollof rice and fried rice.
Actually. Actually.
You get people who every week without fail, they'll come with a big platter. Oh, hi, I just brought something. Come and try it. They say different from last week. Last week I brought the jollof rice. Today is fried. Tomorrow is going. Next tomorrow it will be four and all kinds of. No. That is, please, because you see, the people who hired you are watching. They watch like hawk, but you don't even know they are watching. Then when you go into your appraisal, somebody will pass a comment like, you are very sociable. You see, it's very sociable, but needs to understand. Then you begin, they never said it. No, they didn't need to. Because you came and showed yourself that you didn't read, according to my daughter, they didn't understand the memo, mommy. When they got it, they didn't understand the memo. You're there to make sure that the door opens enough for others like you to come in.
Yeah.
It's not, we didn't come here to come and do a diversity food, meet and greet, eat and bring and share events. If there's a bring and share event once a year, please keep it to that once a year, bring and share. And the rest of the year, go there and work like, if they take you out of that team, things will collapse. You need to demonstrate your worth.
Yeah.
I always say to my children, everything is about value proposition. So wherever I go, what is Ashiedu's value proposition? What do I bring to the table? It is not whether we go and we start to name drop. My brother teased me one day, said, oh, your roller deck. He said, you are one person, and if we were not my sister, I'd be kidnapping you for your roller deck. And the thing is, you need to have these people. I've come to understand that I need to be able to build a tribe, a strong tribe. And to do that, I must be a woman with integrity. I must be a woman who is able to leverage everything I have to keep the door open, to bring in people, and ensure that when they get there, they understand the assignment. There is a certain MP in this country. He brought in 300 people into the House of Parliament.
Wow.
One person from one demographic. He's arguably one of the most influential people in this country. There's nobody, even the king, it cannot get to. One person.
Let me guess, he's not black.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But what he's done by 300 people at that level of government, and some of them have left that level and gone into other things, is there's nothing that will happen now that he will not have buffers. We just walk and think, oh, this, no. But let you and I get into any space on our own. So it's like with some of the changes that have happened in some of the professions, people don't understand the backstory. It is because a certain demographic went about and they had people who could vet, who could actually advocate for them. If you were an internationally recruited doctor, you had to renew your thing every 6 months. Why did it change? One demographic went to somebody and they called everybody nationally. During COVID, and I'll end with this about, the power of community and this business of having it all and being positioned, raising children that are self-assured, and how we reflect in that.
Yes.
I was on a national call about how we would address some of the challenges that COVID was throwing up. And this man just piped up. He said he's here. He's a legal counsel representing BAPU. So I'm thinking, I've never heard of them before. Who are they? The British Association of Physicians of Indian Origin. They had a war chest of millions. They took the government to task about the COVID inquiry. It's online reading. Our people were asking, can we have money to do this one? And people are this. We were chasing COVID grants, and what were people doing with it? Buying car, buying house. How many businesses were opened with those COVID loans that were given in the Black community?
Very few.
Yeah. So how we are as individuals is one of the things that manifests into how we raise our children.
100%.
Absolutely.
And I learned that if I wanted my children to be self-assured, if I wanted my children, if I'm not there, if they step into any space, they own it unashamedly. And as my middle one would say, Mommy, I've spoken to them. And today I was just channeling my inner you. And when I finished, I knew she could hear you.
That's very interesting because I remember your birthday, when they both spoke. That was something that was quite profound. I think I remember your elder saying that you've inspired her to be everything that she is today.
Yeah.
Which many children actually don't feel confident to say, that you've allowed her to be who she is today. And that's credit to you. As I said, it's very inspiring. And I think one of the things that you have said very honestly is being able to take the criticism from your children, which actually in hindsight, I understand why our parents didn't like it. Because the few times I've actually allowed myself to listen to my children, be honest with me, has been very
Painful.
hard and painful.
It's very hard.
Painful.
Very, very hard. A lot of self-reflection. And just as you were talking about how you stormed out, I remember my children very recently, I was upset about something and they didn't understand. And I got physical, I was shaking. And guess what these children did? They started laughing. They bursted out laughing. And they looked at me, especially, my mom. It's like, Mommy, what's wrong? But you asked us to tell you the truth. So why are you shaking?
But laugh.
And I just stopped like like a little child. I just stormed upstairs, shut my door. I was like, you know what? Good night. But it got me thinking. And so the next morning on the way to school, I brought up the conversation. I apologized, and I was like, okay, about what happened yesterday. But it's taken a lot for me to get there because I'm not used to it.
No.
Yeah.
None
of us
we were
raised
not
that
brought
way.
up by parents who allowed us to critique their parenting skills. We were never apologized to. I have a friend who, it was on her 50th birthday. The mother publicly apologized, said, I have wronged you. I was hard on you. I have done so much I should not have done. And I realize my errors now because I see how you have turned out, despite.
Wow. But at least her mother recognized that.
Yeah.
A lot of them
But
will recognize and not say anything.
It took time. So that is one who came to the recognition. Many of us, our parents, didn't. So when we talk about relationships, with my mom especially, I was very open because my mom was that sort of mom who, when I got into university early at 16, so she was very aware of the fact, I was with people who could have been my mom, and it was important for her to speak some truth. So the concept and the issue of sex was not a taboo between my mom and I. And the way she puts it cleverly, she said, people will come and be asking you. She said, so let me just tell you, you can't, if you give it away, you can't go tomorrow to say, give it back to me.
I love it. That's going in my bank.
You can't ask for it back.
You can't go tomorrow to say, give it to me. She said, you can't collect it back. She said, so just keep it. Just keep it. Say when they come, smile, say thank you, let them go. Say
Thank you.
Say anybody that invites you anyway, say tell them, say, and I need to speak to my mom. Say, and then my mom did. She used to turn every week. My mom used to come unannounced to Unilag. She just sits in her 4x4 Land Cruiser. Even the security people knew her. They say, that worry woman day outside. So when she comes, she'll buy food for all of them. She'll be watching. So I didn't know she used to give the security at the time 8,000 naira. I'm talking about 1991. She used to give them 1,000 naira in 1991.
Money.
So she'll give them 1,000 naira
Each.
If she come out with any man, write the date, right time.
We collect it.
Next week, you show me. I didn't know this.
I love it.
Until one day I was coming from engineering, very happy. Then I just say, why my mom's car here? I didn't know my mom used to come regularly, just park the car there. So when I entered, somebody said, there's one worry woman. I said, there's one worry woman scheme. I said, she tied to wrap, tie her. I said, you know it's Delta person. So she's in that Jeep outside. See, she's been here with these security people since. So I went, I said, excuse me, sir. He said, hey, okay. He said, now this be the lady. Okay. He said, your mommy, very nice woman. Very nice woman. He said, she treat us nice.
Look
very
after
nice
us.
But they don't know you, so how would they give that report?
So as we're talking, I just heard somebody shout, hey, Mary, come here. Your mother. My mother said, God, that's my mother's voice shouting. My mama hoko for him. Me, the person you're shouting at, she knows the mother from worry. Don't want to address stuff that they are going out for clubbing. Then she jammed me, so you won't forget. My friend, will you get back? And she said, who is the person taking you out? She shouted, say, go and bring me the second. So that alone was enough to instill fear that it is the day I will get the devil's wings. My mother too will be flying that day. We will jam. No, there's certain things that when I think back, I laugh about it, but I see now where it made a huge impact on me. And having a relationship with my children, especially my girls, became really important because I was really close to my mom, really, really close to my mom. And she took on an interest in my friends. But at the time, I didn't understand why. Because my mom was physically and spiritually vetting my friendship groups. And that's something we don't do. We just assume this person is... Just like when I say my children, when they tell me certain things, I say, this person is not your friend. And I say, I'm going to pray them out of your life. Why do you always have to say that? Why? Why can't we just make friends? And if we don't like them, it's a lie. Because this business of... I've seen it go wrong. And I tell myself, I have no mother, no father here. I am by myself with my God. So these children, I have a responsibility really to ensure that everything they do, who they go on to become, has to be a testament of good things. We make mistakes. I tell them sometimes, say, we are on this journey. I've never been your mother before. You've never been my child before. So we are experimenting. So behave yourself. Me too, I behave myself. Shikina. So...
Oh, wow.
Fabulous.
We can have this conversation, honestly.
Oh, I know. For a long time. I suppose I'll just leave with one final question, because we've spoken a lot about the challenges of women. But I also noticed that men may struggle in terms of knowing how to be an ally. So I suppose the question, and what then happens is they have this quiet indifference. So I'm not putting down any woman, but at the same time, I just back off. So what are the things that men can do to be active allies of women, particularly us Black women, and in our empowerment?
Okay, I'm going to answer that twofold. I'm going to start from the home. So if you are a mother raising a son, you are the first teacher of how your son can and should be an ally and a respecter of women. If you are a wife and with a husband, and you have a husband who is, it is when you want to talk about your next career move that he will start telling you, hey, it's okay, just send the application, it's all right. Yeah. Because to him, what is that about to me? My advice to that man is the success is not just hers. Because regardless of which culture we're operating in, so we have the blessing of straddling two cultures. And oftentimes these cultures are really opposing. So we dip into our Black British culture, which says as a woman, you are empowered, you are enabled, you have a voice, you have presence, you have everything. Then when you lean into your African or your Nigerian heritage, it says that you need to know when to be quiet. You need to know your place. You need to this, you need to that. There's so many limitations. You have to step away, so that your husband is not too much in front. But whose name do you carry? There's very few people, except those I grew up with, who know me as Ashiedu Joel. But everybody knows me as Ashiedu Joel. Everybody knows me as Ashiedu Joel. So whose name is at the forefront of whatever I'm doing?
Absolutely.
And so that is the incentive to know that if you frustrate the plans, you also frustrate the opportunity for you as a man to be celebrated.
Yes.
So it is in his interest to be personally invested in your growth as a woman. Now, there might be conflict because, again, if the conversation is in there where you haven't, as a woman, said, this is what I want to do. Okay, Mr. Husband, where are we on our journey of life? Because you need to also position your plans alongside what your husband is sharing with you. This is what I'm expecting. This is where I would like for us to go, and this such a thing. And then you begin to think, okay, at this point in time, whilst he is building. So when my husband was building his career, I was doing nothing. So there is not one single thing he set out to do he didn't achieve. But I've had to shelve things. But for me, it was a choice. a personal choice.
Right.
For some people, it is not. They are mandated to.
Mm-hmm.
So how does your home life align with what you're doing? Are you pursuing success doggedly at all costs? And so the home is suffering, and what the man then is trying to do is to rein you in with his indifference or with his complaints.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's also that where he feels disempowered. So he channels it the only way he knows, by actively showing disinterest and whispering around the block. So those who have your ear will say, oh, you know, your husband came and told me this. And as a woman, that creates disquiet in you.
Mm-hmm.
For some, it's not even, they're not quietly doing it. They're screaming. They're screaming it out
and
loud.
some would really vocalize it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But where is the alignment in your quest for growth, for success, and in where the family ought to be going? And I say this to my husband, I say, look, we always must have a plan. Otherwise, what happens is you are planning your own and planning my own, and everybody's going to God with our individual plan. And what God will do is he will answer the one that causes the least friction. And sometimes it is not that which you deeply desire you get. And frustration then sets in. Because there's already conflicts in the home.
It's not aligned. Yeah.
So why don't we sit down and say, Mr. Husband, what are your thoughts? And these are my thoughts. And where can you make allowance for me to grow this period? And then I can make allowance for you to grow in this period. And what happens is you both peak equitably. So nobody feels in competition with the other. And what happens is you give your children confidence to go out and promote that.
Yeah.
So they never leave the home and go outside and feel envious of somebody's success, because in my home, my mother is
Successful.
and my dad is so comfortable with.
Yeah.
And my dad is, and my mom proudly shouts about it.
Yeah.
So when they go out and somebody says, I am, what resonates within them is joy and thanksgiving that, oh God, my friend is.
True. True.
But when you see children who come in and go and check the home, somebody envies somebody and is constantly bickering and putting the other person down. So the concept of success is alien to them, where I allow the other person to thrive. Because at home, my dad is not happy than my mom because he feels that it is disturbing what we are doing at home. It is this. Or they see success for somebody else as an infringement on their own joy and ability to peacefully exist. But we don't see this when we have all this bickering at home. So one rule I have, I don't invite people to my home. Very few people come to my home and are welcome there. Because if you come uninvited, my children know not to let you in. And I will stand upstairs and say yes. And I've done it several times. And my husband used to think it was very crazy saying, and, so rude. And, if they've come, open the door. No. Then one day, my eldest said something. When she was in year 11, she came home that day, just threw her back down, sat down and said, Mommy, I need a hug. So I don't know why she was sobbing. She was just sobbing. And she says, oh, I feel better now. I've just been wanting to just cry all day. I said, are we better now? So I said, okay, you know what? We'll just get in the car and go wander around the shops and all that. So she said, I'm just so happy, Mommy, that I can come home and just cry. I don't really know why I was crying. And there's nobody here. And when I open the door, I now think, oh my God, so and so is at home now. I just have to go home and pretend. Then it struck a chord. We are gatekeepers over our home space. And if your child or your children feel your home is always threatened by external forces, they shut down.
Yeah.
And they start to seek things outside. I never thought it would come alive for me that way. That it will be my childhood now made it make sense, because I could never quite explain it.
Yeah.
I just knew that I don't want all these infringements, but that brought it home.
Making it a safe space.
So there was no, to her, I don't know why, I just, just really wanted to just come home and just get a hug and just cry. And we sat down, we went, had lunch, had dinner somewhere, had a good laugh, went around the shop, came back with bags of shopping that I didn't intend to. But, it just gave her the opportunity just to vent. And the fact that, and sometimes you think, gosh, these children must be going through quite, and
Quite
the
a
fact
lot,
that
yeah.
if I come home, I just throw my bag down and I can just cry, and it's only my mom. I'm not worrying about auntie so-and-so, uncle so-and-so come and say, Kini, at this your big age. All those things that we experienced.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, that's a very important point. That reminded me of something that happened very recently. So my daughter came back from school, and again, all these emotions that they feel and they can't verbalize it. And I was like, but what do you, and I have this thing where I said, but what are you going through? What should I say? What is it that you're going through?
How bad can it be?
Do you understand? She's like, Mommy, you're going through what you're going through because you've been through 40 plus years of life. I'm going through what I'm going through because I'm 14 and this is as much as I can take. And in that moment, I didn't quite think about it like that. And it's so funny how they articulate themselves when you actually feel quite stupid that, my God, it made so much sense. But yeah, it's been such a wonderful conversation.
Absolutely.
Such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for all the wisdom that you have dropped. We can carry on for another 2 hours, I'm sure. And we'll have so much more to say.
I have so many other questions, but it just means you're coming back.
We'll have you again.
I would gladly come back.
We'll probably have to do the invites now, but we'll start the process because we don't know the next time we'll be able to get you back on.
6 months, 9 months.
Yes, most likely.
Before we can get it
after the summer.
Yeah,
definitely. No,
it's been an absolutely enriching conversation today, and I think there's so much that you've said that has resonated with me, especially with the things you said about raising your daughters, and I can already see some similarities, and I've taken some mental notes on the things that I have to do, because as you say, legacy is something that is so important to me, and the biggest legacy you can leave is in your children. You can absolutely do anything for other people, but your children are the absolute legacy. And this has been such an enriching conversation. I have to watch it myself to replay it.
I was thinking that
and take notes of all the things. We thank you so much for coming. You're always welcome to the Rooted Connections podcast. In fact, you're part of our tribe, a very integral part of our tribe, actually.
I self-ingratiate myself, even if you didn't want me.
Absolutely. So many similarities in yours. In fact, I even remember when you were talking about how you became a magistrate and it was on the last day. I had that as well. Somebody rang me, actually. I said, look, Uju, you need to do this. It closes tomorrow. Do it. But yeah, let's not even go into all that story. But thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming. Rooted Farm, go check her out online. She's not very difficult. She's not difficult to find there. She's in so many different spaces, and just following her, you will learn a lot. This has just been a simple snippet of what she has to offer. So please check her out, and we'll have you back very soon.
I would be honored to come back. It's been an absolute pleasure to come and speak to you and be part of what you were doing, how you. But I feel so blessed that I have been part of a journey of at least 10 years of seeing you both kind of trial different things and understand yourselves. I think when I was talking about myself, I understand my core skill set as a person. And so everything stems from it. And it's such a blessing to see that both of you have come into that space, of understanding your core skill sets.
Thank you.
And using that to drive several things at the same time, but at your pace. So this is part of one of you having it all, because now my challenge to both of you is it can't just be this. So I will nudge you offline.
Watch this space.
Wow.
I will nudge you both offline, and
I feel like that's going to come back to bite me now.
Yes. No. I think both of you know that when I say I will nudge you, it's a vicious nudge.
Yeah.
So I will nudge you both.
To be fair, we're in a season now that I think we need that. We need to have those accountability partners too, because I think Joel and I are so similar in certain ways where we have so many wonderful ideas, but implementing, we need people like you to help.
That's where I come in.
So,
And we've grown
thank you
so much now that the nudge will bear fruit, if you see what I mean. So we're in that space that we understand the need for the accountability, and we understand the need for action. So,
and the fact that you are now role models, even if you don't see yourself as such.
That's a big word, though.
So, and this is it. We are very good at minimizing our impact.
Yeah.
And I always tell you both, don't ever overlook what you do, because you don't know how far reaching it is. So you both have stepped into a new phase of role modeling. So a lot of what you're doing now, you will not see or know, but people are picking and running with the things you share, the things you say. But most importantly, your children are now seeing how, according to mine, this business of being, a responsible adult, what does it look like? And how is it that my mom is doing this and doing that? What is the impact? How is it enriching me? Because in fact, all the conversations you have to find ways to draw the goodness out of it and use it to shape the people who are coming after you.
Absolutely.
Because your children, really, our children, are the biggest legacy we have.
100%.
Absolutely.
I think that's the best way. We just end it on that note, honestly. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast. And you're part of our tribe, always have been.
Yes.
Thank you.
And worrying never, ever carries
Never.
loss.
Lie.
Never.
Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. See you on the next one.